friends, this is Grace and welcome to my channel and welcome to our latest A to Z layout. This is layout number 18 and the prompt is chipboard. And so I have this tin can. I think it's from Maya Road. I don't know if you're familiar with that brand, but that was a brand that was very popular about maybe 2010 to a good 2019. They have a lot of embellishments in their line, and they're very popular with the chipboards. And so I still have a lot, actually. I've only pulled out just these handful, and I was hoping to actually use a bunch more than what I ended up using in this layout, but it is what it is. So if you're new to my channel or you're new to this series, I am really digging deep into my stash this year and trying to use up some items, trying to find new ways to be inspired by the products that I have kept. And the way I'm doing that is that I am creating some layouts that are kind of alphabet themed or themed or order, I should say. And before I did this really in order where I started with A all the way to Z. But this time I created a little spinner. And so I had my prompts all ready before I even started the year. And then I would just do the spinner. And then wherever the little arrow falls, that is the letter. And then I would go ahead and use the prompt that was for that specific letter. So again, I had picked C, and that's chipboard, and so I'm going to go with that. This is going to be a single page 12 by 12 layout, and it does have 5 photos, and all of them are 3 by 4. And these are pictures of my oldest son's birthday. I believe this was 2019, 2020-ish, somewhere around there. And one of the things that, one of the traditions in our household is that if it's your birthday, you get to choose what kind of breakfast you want for your birthday as well as what kind of dessert. And so these pictures just basically capture that. My oldest son, and my birthday are very close to each other. They're only about 3 days apart, and so we usually have a celebration that is a combo of his and my birthday. And so a couple of these pictures are showing us that we're gonna blow our cake. I can't remember what dessert we ended up having at that time, but that is the part of the pictures that you would see here. And then the rest would be the breakfast that he had chosen. And I am Filipino, and so my kids are half, and they love Filipino breakfast. And that includes fried eggs. And then we have this marinated pork called tocino, and also a marinated sausage called longanisa, and so they love those things. So that's what I served, plus some fried rice. So going back to the layout, initially I had wanted that right page to have all of these different kinds of chipboards kind of spread out on that side, and that would create all of those accents. But some of these, as you can see, some of the circles are painted. I painted them many years ago. I don't know why I painted them, but they are painted, and then some are raw. And initially I was thinking, oh, okay, well, I'll just pick the ones that I like, and then I will paint the ones that that would fit with the circles. But the more I'm looking at it, the more I was thinking, actually, I wouldn't have room for a lot of other things if I would just put all of those circles on the right side. And then I thought, well, it's a birthday layout. Why don't I make a balloon out of these circles that I have made? And so that's what I'm doing here. I pulled out a red baker's twine, and then I'm using a lot of scraps on this layout as well, because I just felt like with the way the layout is, with the photos and the size of the layout, I just felt like scraps would be best to use here. Now, the paper on the right side actually has a very subtle design. It's not quite your regular cardstock or just plain paper. And I love that it just has that subtle design, but it still has some pattern to it, that it would be a good, very subtle background for the layout or for the elements that I'm adding onto it. So again, I'm just pulling out some papers here. I decided that I will go with that idea of making it some balloons, and then because the circles are the negative side, meaning that there is a positive shape that was in the middle, then I need to be able to back that up. And so I'm just going through some papers here. I did have this 3x4 cut aparts from a paper that I used recently, and I haven't had the time to put that away in where I put all my 3x4s, and it just so happened that it was next to me, so I was pulling through them and seeing which colors would work best for them, and if there was any patterns that I can punch out from that particular design. And so I am, again, going through this and seeing what I can use, and I am punching I think that is the 1 1.25 or I think it is 1.25. It's too small to be 1 3/4 or 1.5. But it's one of those creative memories punch where you have two different sizes of circles. And so I like that. And then I also have already pre-printed my journaling. And so I am going to add that. And I'm thinking I'm going to add that to the bottom side of the layout. That red paper has just the text of happy birthday all over the red paper. And I thought that would be nice. And I have this scrap of paper that had a bunch of different words, but in different sizes. And so I'm going to use the delightfully in there. The delightfully, the actual word didn't really work out for my title. So I am going to actually cut up the Y part of that word, I should say, and then add a different text or sticker to complete my title. If you have been a viewer of this channel for a while, you know that I like to combine different kinds of fonts for my title. It just seems like it adds to the design of the layout when there are two different fonts. So I try my best to do that. Of course, it doesn't happen all the time, but I feel like if you match or if you combine a script and then a sans serif kind of font, it feels like they look good together. And plus, if you have the sans serif a little bit smaller than the script, you can kind of tuck in all those letters around the scripted font. So I'm not quite going to do that over here just because the word delightful is just one straight word, and so I'm just gonna go without it. Okay, so now I have added all of my extra strips that I added to my layout. I also rounded the corners of those papers that goes basically my background papers. I needed them to be a little bit rounder because there was just too many hard corners on my layout that I needed some softness to it. And plus, because the circles or the balloons, I should say, are round, like I needed to repeat that same shape in another place in my layout. So as you can see, I'm just taping the backside of the string to, or should say, I added the string to the backside of my circles with some tape, and then I'm also going to be adding some foam adhesive to that because I want that to basically be raised on my layout. I know that the chipboard already adds some layer to it and some thickness, but I still wanted to add them with some foam adhesive. It just makes, I know, sometimes I just really like the shadow effect that a foam adhesive gives to the elements and also to the layout. So now I'm adhering them. Again, like I said, these circles have been painted before, and so I'm just adding them here. I just love how, even though I have painted these a long time ago, they still worked with the color scheme of my layout. There's still the reds. I love that there's gold and silver in there, and then the purples. I know there's not really a purple on my layout, but it works. It works fine. And then I'm going to tie the bottom of the string to, again, make it look like these are balloons that are tied together for birthday, and I'm going to tie that into a bow so that it will look really nice. And then I'm also going to adhere or to add a little bit of liquid glue to where the knot is so that it doesn't move on my layout. And then I believe I'm just going to kind of set that aside and then maybe put something to make that, to weigh that out. And then I worked on my title, which I combined the word delightful and then birthday together. And then I have the sticker sheet. I have a kind of homemade kit of all just birthday stuff. And so when I have a birthday kind of layout, I pull that out. And so I pull whatever I feel like would be good to use for that particular birthday. But what I love about this homemade kit is that all of my items that I have for that particular theme is together, so that I don't have to go through so many different parts of my scrapbook area in order for me to find all of the birthday stuff. They're all just combined in one spot. Again, I am just adding some stickers here and there. I find that there are some, I don't want to say empty spaces, but I consider them like white spaces that could benefit from some embellishments. So basically that's what I'm doing here. And then later on, of course, after when I'm ready to put them in my sheet protectors, then I would see if they don't have any date. This one actually has a date on, so I don't have to worry about that. I think my past grace for doing that, because sometimes future grace gets really frustrated that I have to do back work for doing dates, so I'm glad that I was able to do that here. But for the most part, I actually just date them when I'm ready to put them in sheet protectors. Anyways, you are going to see some close-up shots after the process video here. If you like these videos, please consider giving it a thumbs up and subscribing. If you have any questions, if you have a question about my process or my products, don't forget to put that in the comment section below and I'll try to answer it as fast as I can. Other than that, I will see you guys in the next video. Bye now.